So we're going to take these sheets you have, and we're going to get our calculators out, and we're going to fill in the charts. Now, we're only graphing sine and cosine for now, so we're going to fill in the entire chart on this graph. I'm going to show you on a graphing calculator what you're going to be doing. And I'm only going to do a few of these, and I'm only going to do the sine ones. You're going to get to do the cosine yourself. So first thing you want to do is make sure your calculator's in the correct mode, or you'll get all wrong answers. So you want to hit to the right of the blue button right here. To the right of the blue button is mode, so you're going to hit mode. And what we're looking for is right here, we want to be in degrees. So if your blinker's here, that's where you want, if you're not in degrees, you're going to move it down 2 and right 1 and get it blinking on degree and hit enter, and that will change it. Okay, if you ever need to go back to radian, you go down 2 and get it blinking on radian, hit enter, and that will get it for you. Then hit second mode, which is quit that screen. If you hit second mode, it'll go back to the main screen. Okay? And if you look out there, these are my X values in degrees right here. For some reason, they put this one in radians, which they all can be in radians, but we're going to do degrees. That's why we put our calculator in degrees. So we're going to plug it in right up here where that X is for sine X. So we are doing the same thing that we did with the 6 trig functions, except we're using a calculator instead of the unit circle, or instead of making a triangle. So we're going to hit sine of 0 degrees, and we hit enter, and look at there, it's 0. So we are going to take, and we're going to plug 0 in right here. Now, does anybody remember back when we did the 6 trig functions? I hope you all remember that sine and cosecant were called, what's the R word? They're called each other with your right fractions. Anybody remember what we did to the fraction of sine to put it into cosecant? Anybody remember what we did? We flipped it. That's reciprocal. Okay, those are reciprocals. Does anybody remember what the reciprocal of 0 is? Anybody remember this was 0 over 1? You flipped it over, it was 1 over 0. What did we write down for that? Because I suck at dividing by 0 like everybody else. Why am I so bad at dividing by 0? Huh? You can't do it. Does anybody remember the word we wrote in? We actually abbreviated the word. Anybody? Undefined. So you're going to put in here undefined. Yeah, you can abbreviate it, UND if you want, or you can write the whole word out, undefined. Now, I want to show you on your calculator, there is a reciprocal button. Okay, there's a reciprocal button on there. And it is this button right here. It says x to the -1 power. That's reciprocal. That takes a fraction and flips it. So if you are here on this screen and you got 0 and you hit that x to the -1 button, it says they're going to take the answer and flip it over for you, and you hit enter, and we get an error. Why do we get an error? Because you can't divide by 0. The calculator can't do it either. It's impossible. So if you get an error, that's telling you that's undefined. Are we thumbs up on that? Okay, then we go to the next one. So you look up there, the next one's 15 degrees. So I'm going to hit sine 15, enter. So I'm going to put 0.259 in that next spot. Or round into 3 places like we always do. 0.259 in that spot. Then I get my calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and do the reciprocal. This is why we're doing cosecant, because if you do them together, they're done. If you don't, you got to do what we're doing all over again. You got to do sine first and then flip it. But now I'm going to hit x to the -1 and hit enter, and there's my cosecant. So that's 3.864. So I'm going to put 3.864. And then the next one, I'm going to do 30, which I already know this one because it's a special. It's a half. If you remember, the side opposite of 30 is a 1, the hypotenuse is 2, 1 over 2. That's where the half comes from the unit circle or from triangles. Okay? And then you flip a half upside down. This is 2 if you hit the reciprocal. Are we all good with that? Okay, so you keep doing that. You're going to come down here, and then you go back, and after you're done with these two, then you go back and you do the exact same thing, except you do cosine. Some of the answers get negative, okay? Leave the negative on the answers. All right? And what I'm saying is, you remember going around the unit circle? I don't know if you do or not, but the first one we came to was 30. Remember, this was 0 right here, and our ordered pair was 1, 0. Remember that? So I did sine, we said was y, 0 over 1. You see that 0? Cosine of 30, the ordered pairs right here were 3 over 2 and 1/2. Do you remember the sine is the y value, 1/2, 0.5? Do you see it's the same thing? So we're getting the same things off here, except we're doing more of them on this graph because we can find the ones that aren't specials with our calculator. Are we thumbs up what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. We're just using a calculator instead of the unit circle, okay? And we're using angles that are not specials. All right, now, what you're going to do next is you're going to go, after you're done filling all these out, you're going to fill these all in after you're done with the quiz. You're going to come over here, and then up at the top on one side it says sine cosecant. The other side, flip it over, the other side says cosine secant. So make sure you go to the sine side when we do the sine ones. And that first, we did a 0, didn't we get a 0 out? So I go 0, 0. So I start at the origin on that one. On sine, we start at the origin. Okay? Then 15 degrees was 0.256, I think, right? What? 0.259. Now, look over here at your y values. You see 1 is the 4th tick mark up. So what's that make this first tick mark right here? If that's 1 up here, what would this be? That's 0.25. 0.25. This one would be 0.5. This one would be 0.75. And so forth. They're going by 0.25. Now, down here, you should keep putting your tick marks, and you should number these by 15 degrees all the way over to here. I'm hoping we can get all the way to 405 because that's the bottom of that chart. Okay, right? Isn't that the last one on the chart, 405? So I'm hoping you can get all the way to 405. Just go as far as you can. If you get to 405, stop there, okay? You don't have to go past there, even though it does go by there. Now, we said this was 0.259. So that's 0.25. So 0.259 is just a tiny bit above it. And we got 30 was a half. So I'm going to go up to the half and put a dot on a half. And then you're going to find 45, and you're going to put a dot up here. Now, after you're done, you're going to have dots that go up and come back down and go under and come back up. You're going to do that. You're going to connect the dots in a smooth curve. In a smooth curve. Do not make line segments. So in other words, don't do straight lines. You're going to curve. You understand? And you're going to connect the dots. Then you're going to go and do all you're doing on this one right now is the sine curve. Later on, we're going to put cosecant with it, okay? And then you're going to flip it over, and on the other side, you're going to do the cosine graph. So make sure you get them on the right side, because I'm grading these. And I'm going to grade, and if you put the wrong one on the wrong side, you're going to miss both graphs. Okay? Anybody got any question? So that's what you're going to do after the quiz. Okay? We're going to have a quiz now over SOHCAHTOA, law of depression, angle of depression, angle of elevation. Does anybody want me to go over any of the problems off of this side? You got two problems like this where they're going to be, when you look at the quiz, they're worth 6 points each. One that you have the right equation, one that you solved it right. Okay? And then over on the story problems, I think those are 4 each. It says on there. No, maybe the story problems are 6 each and these are 4 each. I can't remember. It tells you on the quiz. Yeah. I can't hear it.
I don't have my paper, but can you go over the
Sure, which one? Pick a number. There's 1 through 12. Pick a number. 8. All right, we're going to do number 8. So I'm going to take a picture of this. And I put it on the quiz, Mr. Fox put a triangle on every problem, so you can write all over each triangle. On this one, you probably had to make your own triangle a few times. You said number 8, right? Now, something that's cool about math that I've told you a million times why I love it. Well, maybe I haven't told you a million yet. Okay, so first of all, one thing I notice is the directions are not what I want you to do. So I want you to round the angle to the nearest minute, because that's what you're going to do on the quiz. And you're going to round sides to the nearest thousandth. That's 3 decimal places, which is what you're going to do on the quiz. So this thing up here should say, instead of degree, this should be minute to the nearest minute. And this is thousand. 3 decimals is thousand. Okay? So number 8 down here says, little a is 2, little b is 7. Now, I could do SOHCAHTOA and find my angles right now, but I'm going to find C first because I know geometry well and it's faster than doing SOHCAHTOA. What would I use to find C that you guys have been using since probably 5th or 6th grade? I would use Pythagorean theorem because it's faster. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So you're going to get 2 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. So c is going to be the square root. Now this is what I would type into my calculator because it's faster. I will type that exact thing right there into my calculator. You can do it. I mean, if you want to get all those numbers and put 4 plus 49 and do the square root of 53, that's great. But I'm going to show you that I think it's faster to just do it one time and be done. So I'm going to type in second square root 2 squared plus 7 squared. So that'd be 7.280 would be my answer for that one. So C is about 7.280. You all should be checking to make sure you're getting the same thing I am. Now, you will not use 7.280 to find angle A and B because they're rounded. So don't use rounded answers because it might throw off your answer. And if it's off, you're going to miss it. They gave me 2 and 7, so I'm going to use those. I'm going to find angle A first. So where is 2 from angle A? What's this called? Opposite. What's 7 called from angle A? Adjacent. So I'm going to do that. The tangent of angle A is going to equal opposite over adjacent. Now, how do I get rid of tangent? We did this in class. How do I get rid of it? Anybody? Man, we're not going to do well on this quiz. Inverse tangent. You hit second tangent of this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately DMS it because you're supposed to go to the nearest minute. What do you got? What's your question? Natalie, didn't you have your hand up? Oh. Huh? Okay, so I'm going to type it into my calculator right now. I'm not done with this one. You got to find all the parts first. Oop, I can't see it, so let me move this thing over a little. All right, so I'm going to type that thing right there in and DMS it. And again, I'm going to do the whole thing at one time. So I'm going to hit second tangent 2 divided by 7, and then I'm going to hit second apps 4. If you look right there, you see how that's the same thing I got written right there. I want to DMS it right away, and it saves me time. And you look at the 43 seconds. Does that round that up to 57 or keep it 56? Rounds it up. If it's 30 or more, you go to the next minute. 30 or more. So angle A is approximately 15 degrees, 57 minutes. Now I got to get angle B. So angle B, so I'm done with this. And I'm going to go up here and do this angle B. Now, what's little b from that? Opposite. What's little a from that? Can't hear you. Adjacent. So I'm using, again, tangent. So the tangent of B is going to equal, and this one will be 7 over 2. So angle B is going to be inverse tangent of 7 over 2. and then I'm going to DMS it again. Now I'm going to show you a little shortcut on the calculator here, because it's the same trig function. If I hit second enter, it'll put in what I just did, and then I can go right back here and just change 2 to a 7 and 7 to a 2 and hit enter. And that's a little faster. So that's 74 degrees, 3 minutes. So angle B is 74 degrees, 3 minutes. So that's all of that problem. You have to find 3 parts. Question. These are worth 6. There's going to be 1 to have the right equation and 1 to get the right answer. Yes? Which button? Second, apps. I don't have that. Is that a Cassia? Yeah, that's why I told you you have to bring your book with you to tell you how to do it, or you got to look it up. You got your device to look it up? Well, look it up right now, because you're going to have a quiz. You got to have your calculator on it. Yeah.
You don't have to find the angle of C.
What's angle C? They gave it to me, man. They put a box there, didn't they? Box means 90. You don't have to find it. They gave it to me. Yeah. Yeah. There's room. I drew there's a triangle for every problem. I just told you that. There's a triangle drawn on every problem that you're doing like this. There's 2 of them. 2 problems, 2 triangles already there. Okay? Anybody else got anything you got a question on? Number what? All right, this is the last one I'm doing. Number 4 says you got an angle of, let me erase all this. Angle B is 64 degrees. And side B is 19.2. So the first thing I would do is get angle A, and I would use geometry again, because what do you know about the 3 angles of a triangle? From geometry, 3 angles of a triangle do what every time? Add up to 180. And then since this one is 90, the 2 small ones always add up to how much? Since that's already 90, these 2 have to add up to what? 90. So what I do is, I would get that angle A is going to equal 90 minus 64. So this angle is going to be 26 degrees. So that's 26 degrees. Now see, I think that is way faster than having to do SOHCAHTOA personally. Then I'm going to use, again, I'm going to use the things they gave me because I don't want rounded stuff. So I'm going to use these 2 on everything. So I'm going to find A first. Doesn't matter which one you find, you got to find them both. What is this side compared to B, the 64? Opposite. What is this thing compared to 64? Adjacent. So tangent again of 64 is going to equal opposite over adjacent. So you're going to multiply the A over. And then you're going to divide by tangent of 64. So you take 19.2 divided by tangent of 64. So I'm going to do that real quick. 19.2 divided by tangent 64 equals 9.364. So A is approximately 9.364. Hey, would you do me a favor and circle your answers for me so that I can find them quickly? Or put a box around them like that. Now we got 1 more to do. So now I don't want this A anymore. I'm going to use still 64 in this. What's the C called? Hypotenuse. So now I got opposite hypotenuse. That's sine. So the sine of 64 is going to equal opposite over hypotenuse. Now I'm going to show you a quick shortcut. What ended up happening to the tangent and the A here when I was done? What'd they do? Didn't they just flip-flop spots? So there's a shortcut on this, and that you can go right to and flip-flop those 2 things when you're got a denominator. So I'm going to type in, again, I'm going to go back and go to the last problem I typed in and go change tangent to sine, because it's faster. So that comes out to be 21.362. Okay. So there's all 3 parts. So there'll be 3 answers on those. All right, you need to take your angle of elevation and depression worksheet, if you did all your work on notebook paper like you were supposed to, you need your name, period 1 on there, and pass those up to the front. And then I'm going to be passing out your quizzes to you. Now, when you get done with this quiz, you're going to bring it up here and turn it in and go back and finish up your chart. Trade you. Trade you. You were unexcused, right? Yeah, you got to take it today. I just showed you how to do everything except the story problem. You know, when you're unexcused, you don't get more time. So again, when you're done with this, you're gonna bring it up and stick it on this desk up here. Oh, I gotta turn off the video.